Hey everybody, this is Tony, and I'm here today with a special guest, none other than a dynamic actor and singer himself, Mr. Parnell Damone Marcano. How you doing today?
Hey Tony, I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
No problem at all. Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate you. Of course, a lot of us, well, I won't say a lot of us, some of us know you for something different all the way around because you do everything. But you became one of the stars of the show Greenleaf, of course,
Oh,
which was on the OWN network. Greenleaf is now off the air, but it is on Netflix now, which I love.
yes, me
Um,
too.
yes, yes, but this show is was very talked about and controversial, especially while it was on. So it was one of my favorite shows. It still is one of my favorite shows.
Thank
Um,
you.
and I had to call you because you were one of the people that I liked on the show as well. So thank you for being here. But
Well, thank you.
no, no problem. But I want to talk about, your career as a whole, as well as Greenleaf. So how did you get into the arts? Obviously, it seems like you were somebody who into acting and singing their whole life, I would assume.
Mhm.
Um, how did that happen for you? And then where did the break come in at for you to get into the industry, basically?
Okay. Well, it really started when I was really, really young. Like not even first grade, I don't think. I don't know who it was that I saw on television, but my mom was saying I watched somebody. I was like, that's what I want to do, and I don't have any memory of that. I'm like, okay, but I just know it's just something that I was always singing and dancing since I was really little. And I used to enter my sister and I into our little talent shows, and I would choreograph a little routine for us to do and stuff. And even though I sang all the time, I really was kind of shy, so I didn't sing in public.
Hmm.
I think sixth grade was the first time that I really sang in public. I got all city chorus in the sixth grade, and that was fun. And um, I would sing around friends and stuff, but that was it. And it wasn't until think about my sophomore year in high school that I really started getting into acting, going out for plays and that sort of thing. And I was in in the choir and in vocal ensemble and all those things back then. And went to college as a musical theater major. And
Hmm.
that was the point that I really was like, okay, full on into making a living in this industry. And I got my first professional job when I was 19, working at Ely's Gardens Amusement Park in Denver, doing
Okay.
this show called Stacks of Wax. And it was like a 50s and 60s review music show. And I did that for 3 seasons before moving out to Los Angeles to really pursue acting full time. A lot of people are like, how come you didn't go to New York? You're a musical theater person. I'm like, no more snow.
Right.
No more snow. I grew up in Denver. And so I didn't want any more winters with snow and cold and ice. So I moved. Yeah, and like everybody, I just hit the bricks, auditioning and landing some gigs, not landing a whole lot of others, and just keeping the dream going. And I think the first thing I did out here in LA was a play called Children of the Night
Mm.
that was a wonderful choreo poem written by my friend and mentor Steve Simeon. And that was the thing that I mean, people still ask about. This was like 1991, I think it was that we did that, and
Mm.
people still, oh my, they still say, "Oh, Children of the Night, that was so good. You guys ought to bring that." Yeah, and, Stephen and I talked about it several times. Like, should I bring it back and update it, or should I keep it as a period piece for marking that time? And it was great because it was a show that was really about the Black LGBT experience
Mhm.
in uh, in America, and that was I met Shirley Ralph then. She came to see the show and was really taken by it and really, really enjoyed it. And the message, she's been an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community and
Yes,
intersex
yes.
and this stuff for years. And I have to tell that because that's the helping that these little steps led up. And that's how I met Mary Wilson.
That's
uh,
right. That's right.
And Mary had done Cheryl's Diva Simply Singing concert,
Mhm.
I think in '92 or something. And the following year, she put the word out that she was looking for a male background singer. And so Cheryl called me. I was like, "Hey, Mary Wilson's looking for a male background singer. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great."
Of
And then
course.
she said, "Okay, great." And so she put me in touch with Mary's people, and I got a call to meet her for lunch, and we just really hit it off. And I spent the next 27 years of my life until her untimely death back in February, just touring all over the world, singing all those Supreme songs, and being it was just a huge honor being part of that legacy of
Yeah,
keeping the
yeah.
Supremes music and meeting so many of the great Motown legends,
Mhm.
that we would tour with, the Tims, the Tops, the Spinners, Martha and the Vandellas,
Yeah, yeah.
the Commodores. It was like, oh my God, I cannot believe I'm meeting these people and sharing the stage with these folks whose records I grew up listening to.
Right.
Mary was just so generous with me in her show.
Yeah.
That I went from kind of just, being the background vocals to announcing the show. I was kind of like the
Mhm.
baby of the show, like, hey, and now please welcome to the stage. And we got to be really, really good friends. And she was um, very excited and so proud of my role on Greenleaf, that she was like, oh, it's just the beginning, and it was such an exciting venture for me to be in that show because it was like the first time people were seeing me in a major role
Mhm.
on a
Mhm.
television show. I've done some background stuff and a little bit here and there and a lot of
Right.
theater, and but this was in a few print ads and stuff. But this was the first time that people were around the country were really seeing me and going out somewhere and being recognized. You know, And she was like, "Oh, Lord, I don't know how long I'm gonna keep him. Now he's a TV star. Now I don't know how long I'm gonna keep him back with me." But yeah, and that was just kind of how the biggest thing so far
Yeah, yeah.
has happened.
Well, thank you, for sharing that, journey, but not only that, but for talking about Mary as well, because, of course, I interviewed Mary back in November,
Yeah.
and that became one of my biggest interviews to date. So, during that time, I probably was a little over an hour, but even before we did the interview, we sat and talked for a couple of minutes, but she was just, herself, and that's something that I love. It wasn't, putting on, it wasn't fake, it wasn't like I gotta be a diva or nothing. It was just real.
Yeah.
And she was just herself, you know what I'm saying? So I really appreciated that. Because everybody is not like that, as you know. But it was very unfortunate to see her pass so soon. I was like, wow. And you were definitely one of the people that I thought about because I don't know you personally, of course, but I've seen you in her shows and I know that you worked with her for a long time. So yeah, it is
Yeah, it
something.
was quite a shock, and I think about her every day.
Yeah, yeah. She leaves that kind of impact though.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize that, and it's something that I was trying to push during that interview was, I know that, a lot of us know the Supremes and the Supremes legacy, and Mary was really a part of that wholeheartedly because she was
Mhm.
the only Supreme through every lineup.
Yep.
But she was much more than the Supremes at the same time too. So, the heart that she had, it really showed in the things that she did and the words that she said to people and the things that she did for people. So I was really glad to see a lot of people really come out and show that part because a lot of times you get, the wrong kind of things put out and that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that her legacy really did, prove itself, and
Yeah.
it did show, in a great way. I was glad about that. I wish she could have been here to see, her solo album come out
I
again,
know. Yeah.
but God held the plan. So I'm grateful for her still to this day, and I'll always be, as I'm sure a lot of us will. So thank
Yes,
you
and
for
we
that.
will. Of course, of course. I think she was. Um, very active in so many things. You know, of course, she also again was very supportive of the LGBTQ community
Mhm.
and was active in going to HIV and AIDS awareness fundraisers and donations and she was really excited about the album coming out. This
Yeah.
we were talking about. Everybody's like, "Oh, we're ready to go!" And this because that was my whole big thing. It's like I really wanted for people to really know and respect her as Mary Wilson, a solo artist,
That's right.
um, because a lot of people didn't really get to see her in that light where she was front and center, and all eyes are on her doing her
Mhm.
show. And I think when I first started singing, and I was going out, and people were like, "Oh my goodness, you're never home." Like, "Do you even live in LA anymore?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just, you know." I mean, there were times, especially in the 90s, especially,
Mhm.
um, when I think there were some times where I maybe was in LA one weekend out of the month. Because we,
Wow.
we were just gone, gone, gone. There were sometimes, come home just long enough, to change the clothes in the bag, get new drawers, and head out.
Mhm.
And, and through all that time, I learned so much about how to conduct myself as an artist,
Yes.
when it comes to meeting your fans and whatnot. And Mary was always very gracious about spending time with the fans, and if there were people after the concerts who wanted to get an autograph and stuff, she would stay there until the last person came through to get their picture and get an autograph. And sometimes, like, is she gonna stay? Is she gonna leave? Will I still have the chance? Like, no, don't worry. If you're still in line, Mary will stay here to greet everybody and say hello. As long as the venue will let people still come up,
Right.
she'll be here to sign.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would stay with her, and it's like, cause yeah, how come you don't come out? People want to see you guys too. And I'm like, I don't want to be there. But a lot of times over the years we had a lot of people who have been Supremes fans since they were kids, who would still
Yeah.
come out to see Mary. So over the years that we all got to know each other as well. So when we knew friends were there, then I would come
Mhm.
out to autograph. And I was like, okay, well now I have people to hang out with, and talk with and laugh. And we would all go to dinner and stuff after the show. And of course everybody's been posting all these pictures
Right,
since that
right.
time. I'm like, oh yes, I remember that dinner. I remember that trip. Like, well, we had so much fun, and I think that's the great takeaway from that whole time because it's like pretty much my entire adult life
Yes,
um,
yes.
was spent with Mary, and so looking at that and just will be eternally grateful for that, for the lessons I learned as a performer and just as a person about how to be involved in things outside of performing.
Mhm.
Um, so that is like a lot of times when people call, like, "Hey, can you be here to support this project? Can would you help us with this or help with this?" That I'm like, well, okay, since you're asking, I guess I'm famous enough for it.
That's right, that's right.
So I try to be active and donate my time as well to causes that I can, um,
Yes, yes.
like this Black Lives Matter,
That's right, that's right.
which I wore specifically for this today in honor of our Haitian brothers and sisters and all the atrocity that's going on with our border with how they're being treated. They're like,
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh,
Black
yes.
lives still matter, not just here, but all around the world.
That's right.
And so I just wanted to make sure I represented.
That's right. Well, I do appreciate that, honestly, because it doesn't get talked about enough. Even with some of the people that I bring on, I talk about some of that stuff sometimes, but still, it's not enough um, to just have a 10-minute, or 20-minute, or 30-minute conversation. But it needs to be a conversation all the time because it's happening all the time. So it is important that we do those kinds of things to make our voices heard because people don't listen to what you don't make a noise about, you know? So
Yeah,
I just told somebody that the other day though. I was like, um, it's crazy and it's sad, but if you don't say anything at the same time, people will figure you like what they're doing. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
yeah,
And although we can see it's wrong. But
Yeah.
that's how things work. But when you start seeing these people, our people march the streets and protests and different stuff like that, then you see all this phenomenon going on. Now, of course,
Mhm.
you get your negative thrown in there, but they start to pay attention. So
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. You have to really think about it and say, drastic times do call for drastic measures at
They
this
do.
point. You know,
Yeah.
so
You can only be nice for so long before you have to get, well, pissed
yeah,
and,
yeah,
and really demand uh, your respect and being treated well.
that's right.
And that goes for life in general,
Hmm.
and even in this career in the arts, um, we're seeing like so many people are standing up and they say, you just can't treat us any old kind of way. You just can't pay us any old kind of thing. Um,
Hmm.
because I know, like our IOTC, members in the industry are protesting um, their safety and rights
Right.
to get proper rest. Because sometimes those crew members, I mean, they're the first ones there and the last ones there,
That's right.
and they're not allowed to get proper rest in between being called in for the very next day. Like, wait, you want to keep me until midnight and then have me here again at 6 o'clock the next morning?
No.
Expect me to be safe, and that's one of the things as an actor, just standing with them and going like, yeah, you can't do that to people
Right.
just because you have this thing that you want to save money on, or you want to, it's got to be done by this. Like, no, people need their proper rest. People need to be paid accordingly.
That's right.
People need and deserve to have benefits for working so hard for folks.
Hmm.
And it's just infuriating to see that people will try to get away with as much as they can get away with until you stand up and go like, nope, that's not. I'm not accepting that anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we're seeing a lot more performers now standing up and going. I feel like especially Broadway, this whole the show must go on attitude that so many of
Hmm.
us have had. Oh yeah, the show must go on. You hurt this, or you're hanging this, or your your parents died, or whatever. You still the show must go on. And now I think that's the important thing about mental health is being talked about so much that folks are like, I'm sorry, this show's not going on because
Right. Right.
I'm hurt, I am injured, or I am mentally just not well to go on and do this show right now.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. I really apologize, but the most important thing for me to take care of is me.
That's right.
And folks will understand, they may be disappointed about it, but we're human beings.
Yes. Yes.
As much as, we would love to, and no performer likes calling out for a show.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
not a thing that we take lightly. So for a performer to actually say that I just cannot, it's really serious because most of
Yeah.
us will still perform with, okay, my voice is a little, but I can still do it. Or,
Hmm.
folks have been injured or not feeling well, or, marriages have broken up and all this kind of stuff. And people will still go on and do their show. Like, oh, you know what? I had to deal with that after the show. And sometimes it's like, you know what? I need to do this show to take my mind off of that.
Right.
That's a,
Right.
and that's a different thing because then it's like, okay, this is what I need for my mental health. But
Yeah.
when people are just like, I just can't do it because I'm just not there, they ought to be afforded that opportunity to do that. So our
Yeah.
crew members
Yeah.
who work so hard, they need to be able to get a good night's sleep so they can come back the next day. And we see it all the time. Accidents happen
That's
when
right.
people are tired.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to do this, or I didn't do that, or I thought I did that. Just because they can't concentrate. And I've seen pictures of crew members trying to hurry up and eat their lunch so that they can grab like 20 minutes to catch a cat nap before they have to get back on set. And that's ridiculous. Nobody should have to do that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
The
That's
world would not
crazy.
end if people get a chance to sleep.
Exactly. Exactly. But I'm glad, things are kind of evolving where we're starting to see that now because before it wasn't even a conversation. So I'm glad people are starting to see that because at the end of the day, like you said, we are human. And I think sometimes we get caught up in this world and moving so fast and all this stuff that you just forget who you're talking to and you just are like, yeah, but I need this done. We need to move this fast. And it's
Mhm,
like, we're not robots. I don't
mhm.
care how much we try to put on, how much we try to take on. At the end of the day, when your body is tired, it's tired. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
So if you don't take a rest, it'll shut down. You know what I'm saying? And
exactly.
eventually you'll have to just sit down.
Yeah. Yeah, you
So
either sit down or get set
that's
down.
it. That's it. So you gotta learn how to say, hey, I know what I said, but you know what? I need 10 minutes. Like just hey, I need a break.
That's it.
It's not worth I don't think anything is worth your life at this point, at all. So I would rather take the break and take the hit than take, my life being gone because just that time could send you into a stress attack or a panic attack or a heart attack or anything. So
That's what take you out of here.
you just never know. But I want to be here for the long haul, so I
Exactly.
want to make sure I'm doing the right things, at least where I can, especially where you can cut down.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's important. So thank you for talking about that. That is very
Of
important.
course. Of course.
Um, but I want to talk about your singing a little bit too. So, like for you, when did you know you had a voice? Like, when did you find your actual voice?
Um, I think I can't think of a time where I didn't know that I could sing. It was just something that I always was doing, um, I would hear, people like, "Oh, Parnell, sing something, sing something." I was like, "No, no, no." But think that because especially 'cause I would sing just because I wanted to, not because other people wanted me to.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I'm that same way.
yeah, but I think it had to be that sixth grade all city choir experience. I think that was the thing that really was just like, oh no, you really can sing. I'm like, okay. From that point on, I really started singing as much as I could, and I think when I really realized this is when other people couldn't sing harmonies.
Mm.
And I got people, and I'm just like, well, why you singing my part? You're supposed to sing this part.
Right, right.
Um, because my thing when I listen to songs on the radio, I listen to the lead vocal and the
Mhm.
background parts and the harmonies in the background, and like a certain chorus. Like one time I hear the chorus, I'll sing like the tenor part. The next time I'll
Yeah.
sing the baritone part, or sometimes, especially when I was younger, I would sing the alto or the soprano part.
Mhm.
So I would know each background part on the song, and it was like, and so when people couldn't do it, I'm like, oh, that's not something everybody can do. And
Right,
then even singers, there are a lot of singers who are horrible at maintaining harmony. They can only sing the melody,
right. Yeah.
you know. And I guess that's kind of the difference between a singer and a musician, perhaps.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, because it is kind of crazy to be around folks and understand that they can't hold a harmony. That
Yeah,
would
but
be
everybody is not equally inclined in those areas. You know what I'm saying? And I was talking about this last week, matter of fact, with background vocalists, period. Like
mhm,
some singers can sing background but not sing lead, and some lead singers can't, sing background.
mhm,
So and then you have people who can do both.
yeah.
So it really just depends on the person, but that is a great point that you made though.
Yeah, we have a lot of like amazing I mean, Mariah started out singing background, Luther was singing
Right, right.
background, you know, God, I can't, there's so many names I can't think of, all these people like, well, I'm the background singer for so and so. And then, I mean, I love how Luther used to talk about when he was singing for Roberta Flack and she basically fired him.
Mhm.
Like, nope, you're fired. You need to stop being in the background and be up front. And it's kind of the best move that you can do. And I had to say, Mary was like that with me a lot of times. Whenever there was something going on, like if there was an open mic thing, it's like, "Oh, Parnell's gonna sing. Where's my background? Parnell, where you at? Parnell, come on, sing something." It's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh,
And
man.
yeah, I had auditioned for The Voice a few seasons back, and I didn't get chosen. And she's like, "Yeah, you auditioned for the Voice again." I'm like, "They didn't pick me." It's like, "So?" Like, you know how many times Motown didn't pick us before we finally, got the
That's
okay?
right, that's
And I'm
right.
like, yeah, yeah. But then Greenleaf came along, and I was doing that for 5 seasons,
Right.
and I kind of was like, can I even go on The Voice anymore? I was like, I don't know if I can even be. Can I still do that show now? People like, what's he doing on The Voice? He's been on a TV show,
Right, right.
and and I think that may be my own stuff because I just never went out for it again. So maybe I'll give it another shot and be like, okay, Mary, I'm gonna do this one for you one more time
That's right.
and see what happens. I mean, all I can say is, well, no, you can't. I think especially since I've seen other people who have had records or who have been in movies and TV shows on it. I was like, well, maybe I stood in my own way and I should have gone on for it again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's true.
yeah, but yeah, that's the thing for me is just really, I think that's really understanding your own gifts and talents and dreams. And for me, sometimes it's not even necessarily about winning the
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
Um, it's just the kind of thing of because even though I am pretty outgoing now, I was really a shy kid. And so
Mhm.
part of that is still he's like, "Oh, I don't know if I can be on there with everybody." But now I was like, "Boy, you know you can sing. Get your butt up on that stage."
Exactly. Exactly. You look, you gotta take the chance while you have it because if I learned nothing else from Mary's career was perseverance.
Yeah,
And that's something that I heard through her words and without her ever saying that word. I
yeah,
heard through her words and just speaking to her. And I'm like, how is it that you go through all these, pitfalls and bad situations and everything, and all you can think about is the next thing, and that's all I heard from her.
yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, it's crazy, in a way because not all of us think like that. Obviously,
Right.
sometimes we get caught up in what has happened right now. We're not looking at the future.
Yeah,
So to see her be able to have that kind of mind frame and not only just have it, but carry it throughout her whole life, it was just
yeah,
something to, really be proud of and really be inspired by, really.
yeah.
Especially for me, because I'm just like, you don't really see that all the time, especially a lot of the stuff that she's went through personally. It's just like, oh, so if you can do it, I know I can do it too. But yeah, the voice is, hey, if you feel like you need to do it, do it. I'm telling you.
Thank
Don't
you.
sit on it because I had two people on here. Matter of fact, that's been on The Voice within the last couple of months. Beth was on here a couple of weeks ago. Griffith Manley is her last name, but Beth's father used to play for Motown. He used to play for the Funk Brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was on The Voice, and now she's doing her own thing and singing behind Kim, I think, and she was also Anita Baker's background vocalist.
Nice.
And Tamar Davis I had on here, and Tamar was or Ashley Tamar Davis, I'm sorry, because she's doing the name change now. But
Yeah.
she was on Tyler Perry's plays. Medea Gets a Job and a few other ones, but she went on there too. And she was in Girls Time, matter of fact, before they were Destiny's Child too.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, yeah. I was like, I know that name. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So, those are just two people that have been on there. Um, Not necessarily one, but they were on there. I mean, hey, so if you
Maybe I'll give it a shot again. Like, okay, one more time.
do it, do it. If it's in your heart, do it. I'm telling you. You
But
you
no,
really got
so
nothing to lose.
no, this is true. This is true. So you sing as well.
Yeah, sometimes I do. It's crazy because I didn't sing before. That's why I asked you that question because I didn't sing before. I didn't start singing until I think I was like 18 in choir.
Okay.
17, one of those. But before it was just a bunch of noise. But we went through a lot of training without the personal training because our choir director was really like stern and she was serious. So she threw me in the tenor section, but I really could sing any part in the choir at least. Um like I told I had a vocal coach on here, Cinnamon Robinson, and Cinnamon was just on the BET show with a lot of the 90s stars that they brought on. But I was telling her like she had one of the girls in the choir, she couldn't sing the soprano part.
Mm,
She was just like when she sang it, it sounded like she was struggling, you can tell.
okay.
So she was like trying so hard to get up there, but she wasn't a real singer and she wasn't a soprano. But they needed that section, so she was there. But literally in the rehearsal one night, me and one of the ladies that I sang with, we started doing this part, and I went to sing the soprano part with her, and she was like, "Woo!" Like it just surprised her. So now I'm trying to get back into training and all that kind of stuff.
Good.
Hopefully,
Do
because
it. You're young. You can do it.
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to. I'm trying to. We'll see what happens. But I'm glad now. Like today, even with like background vocals, now I can hear things differently than I did before. Even
Hmm.
in a song, I could pick those parts out now. Like before, I didn't hear that.
You learn to listen to it. The more you get exposed to what it is, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
what music is and what harmonies they are. Because even now, as an older singer, listening to songs that I grew up with,
Mhm.
kind of like, oh my god, I never paid attention to that part.
Mhm.
You know, and it's with the technology today that's available, where people can break down things for you, so you can really hear parts of songs. Like somebody was putting out. Oh, there was a video I saw yesterday about Michael Jackson's PYT,
Okay.
and there was this little background part that Michael Jackson sings in PYT that
Mhm.
um da 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 ba 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 da 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 da. I didn't even realize that was a vocal thing. I thought that was a harmony or something, and then they slowed it down, the little chipmunk singing, and it's Michael singing. I want to. What is it? I want to something UPYT. I want to give you TLC, and
Uh-huh.
and everybody's like going, "Oh, that's I didn't even realize that was a vocal," and so it's kind of like really realizing and appreciating somebody's artistry now by seeing you're like, "Oh, they were doing stuff that I wasn't even conscious was going on," but it just as
Yes.
a whole brings the song together. And for me, I think that's what one of the things that I love. A lot of times, I'll sing the background to a
Mhm.
song, just because oh, that part's more fun. I mean, the lead is
Right.
cool, but what's happening in the background is just like, oh man, they're doing all these harmonies and then these little runs that are going on.
That's right.
And, it was, and I know they're like, okay, here you go, talk about Mary again, but it would, I mean, such a huge part of my career
Yeah.
is sometimes doing a show, and she might forget the lyrics. She's like, she'll look at me, and I'm like, I'm like, you know, and the audience would, it made the show enjoyable for the audience too, because we were just like, what's the words of this? Like, I don't know, but it goes,
Right.
ooh.
Exactly. I got
Yeah,
mine
right.
now.
I got mine. That's it. I have no part. So then I started making myself, okay, you got to remember, learn the lyrics to these songs too, just in case.
Mhm.
Look those up on them, you can pop in. And sometimes it may just be a word or two that she needs to hear, like, oh, what's the word? And this is how, like, yes, you may have been singing this song 1,000 times, but all it takes is for one minor distraction or whatever. Like, oh shoot, what was that?
That's right. That's right.
Um, but that's I think and people always ask me all the time, which do you love more? Which would would you singer, dancer, actor? And I'm like, well, I've kind of set dancing on the background. It's like, okay,
Okay.
we're gonna. I just move around now. You need. I don't want to dance like that
That's
anymore.
right. That's right.
I don't, that's too much hard work. Um, but I feel, which is so funny to me, because when I was in my 20s and stuff, I couldn't imagine not dancing
Right.
anymore. It's like, oh, how can you not dance anymore? I was like, I'll always be dancing. But after a while, you just kind of like, oh, that hurts. I don't want to do that.
Exactly. Exactly. We gotta change this up.
I gotta change it up. But I do still enjoy it, and I got to get back into class. Um,
Yeah.
and then it's great to watch the careers of other performers, who have moved from dance, like Debbie Allen, the
Uh-huh.
Emmy Award winning
That's right.
Debbie
That's right.
Allen, you know, who of course everybody she's singer dancer is like, oh my God, Debbie Allen, dance, 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 and she
Mhm.
sings and she acts and she directs and all this good stuff, and so I see you kind of make that transition because dancer's career is really not that long.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can still dance and take class and whatever. After a while, it's like, okay, you don't get those parts anymore. Um, so I'm at the point now. I'm like, if they need somebody to move and do something, I'm like, okay, you can give me the choreography and I'll go, but you're not gonna get like quadruple pirouettes and
That's
pop.
right.
I don't do that. But I can give you some stuff to look good.
Yeah, yeah. I don't blame you. Don't hurt yourself, please.
Yeah, like I said, no, I'm okay. I'm gonna let you 20 somethings and 30 somethings. I'm gonna let I did that already. You know, I'm gonna
Right,
let you
right.
have that.
I think what's her name? Janet Hubert, the one who played Aunt Viv, said the same thing. Like, yeah, that's long gone. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Everybody always talks about that episode where she dances, but
Yeah.
she's like, yeah, that's over with now.
Like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm okay with that. You got to find other
Yeah.
things, and I think that's what as getting older in this industry that you have to find different things that work for you.
Mhm. Mhm.
As you evolve, and I think that's one of the quotes I read an article from Richard Gere,
Mhm.
wow, years back, and and he was talking about as he got older. I said yes during the American Gigolo days when he was the young handsome dude and all the good stuff. Oh my God, and he's still a good looking man, but he's like that's not going to work for me anymore. I'm not
Exactly.
25, the cute little young thing anymore. You have to find different things that work for you as an actor. Now, as an older actor, you're like, okay, you may still be handsome, but you're not necessarily that heartthrob that you were at 25 and 35.
Mhm.
You will be like, what else do you got?
Right,
'Cause,
right.
in this industry, you can get along, you can get so far with just being good looking,
Yeah,
but eventually,
it
looks
runs out.
the looks start to fade, or the next hot thing comes up, and it's like, oh yeah, he was hot when
Uh-huh. That is true.
things that work for you that make it.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing, it's like, okay, well, you don't dance like that anymore. What else you got? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's passing that knowledge on to the next generation, the next generations after you. Um, Other times it's like, okay, well, moving into other things, you see a lot of performers who start moving behind the scenes,
Mhm.
you start
Mhm.
directing, you start writing, you start. That's kind of where I'm at now. I'm like, I'm still young enough I can still get out there and do it, but I also have to make sure that I secure other avenues. Um, so I'm on the board of directors for the Youth Drama Theater here in LA, which
Okay.
which is about passing our knowledge on to the next generation of actors coming up. Um, so we have kids, up to age 17 that come through our program that we show them um, the possibilities of a career in the arts. So we have
Mhm.
a lot of kids who want to act, they want to sing, they want to dance. We're like,
That's
okay,
right.
well, we'll kind of expose you to those elements on this island junior,
Uh-huh.
which COVID has changed so much of how we have to do things. So we have the kids at home on their videos, recording their parts and we compiled it together. And I'm so proud of them. They did such a great job. And my good friend Nakima Taylor, whose dream it was to teach black and brown kids in the inner city
Mhm.
fine art. Because so many times there are programs, but they take them out of the neighborhood to where the teachers feel safe or whatever.
Right.
Um, but Nakima was just like, no, I want to teach these kids about fine arts in their neighborhoods where they live. It's as opposed to that you can practice your art right here. You don't have to go out somewhere else.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I think that's so important for Black artists in particular that we have institutions in our neighborhoods and our areas that expose kids to what the arts are about. And sometimes it's about there are a lot of kids who don't necessarily want to be stars, but they want to be the stage manager, or
Yeah.
they like working the lights and that sort of things. Like, okay, well here, it's not just about the people who are in front of the camera or who are on stage. There's a whole crew that makes all of this magic happen.
That's
And so
right.
that's what we've been doing. And I'm just like, oh, I've been busy, and I'm also the company manager at Celebration Theater,
Mhm.
who's one of the oldest LGBTQ plus theater companies in the country, and we're coming up on our 40th anniversary next year.
All right.
And yeah, so that's like, wow, 40 years of gay and lesbian and bisexual transgender theater.
Mhm.
And we were like, okay, gearing up for how do we do this? How do we make this happen? And So that's, some of the other avenues that I've been like, kind of let me pursue this over here and kind of get this thing, learning how to produce plays,
Mhm.
learning how
Mhm.
to write, apply for grants, to make that happen, learning, how to um, do all the contracts and all the grunt work that's not glamorous
That's
about
right.
the
That's right.
things that needs to be done. And I think most artists need to learn that, the business of show business, as
Mhm.
opposed to just the glamour part. Because people like, okay, you see the glamour and you see that, but what you don't see is all the hard work that took place so that I could get to be on the red carpet and be interviewed or blah blah blah. So that's the part that's not glamorous. It's not fun all the
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
but it can be very rewarding, not only monetarily, but just emotionally, mentally. Sometimes it's just meeting a challenge of something that you thought you couldn't do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that. I don't know anything about doing that. Like, well, a lot of people, you never know if you don't start doing it.
Exactly.
So started making that kind of happening, and really getting to understand that part of it. And just working with friends on realizing like you can't wait for this industry to make things happen for you. You
Yeah.
got to get out there and make it happen. So another friend and I, we're kind of doing things for making our own films.
Mhm.
So that's been a learning process of securing the funding for that and securing the production team and like, wait, how do we do that? Who? What? Who? Huh? And it's
Yeah.
it's been really
People
good.
don't realize there's a lot that go into just making anything as far as a film or a show or all of that kind of stuff. Even a stage play.
Yeah,
It's a lot that goes into that, and people don't really realize because you don't really see that kind of stuff, out in the open all the time. You just see the person in front of the camera.
right.
But yeah, it really is a lot that goes on in the background that's helping all of this come to life. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that you said that, and you are working in those avenues. We have to learn how to be versatile, even when we don't
yeah,
want to be, because
absolutely,
when one thing don't work out, we can always lean to the other one.
absolutely.
But I can't hold you forever, so I'm going to talk for a little bit more, and then I can let you go because we can talk all day long, and I can't do that. but but as far as Greenleaf though,
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit in depth about that. So your character obviously was an openly gay man
Hmm.
um, in the church as a choir director.
Hmm.
That became a problem after a while, though, and you and your husband in the show got married, and then they eventually fired you. But you came back. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yes. Yes.
You came
Thanks.
back. But how was the experience overall for you? And did you take something away from this? Like, did you learn anything in this? Not necessarily from acting, but maybe from watching the show itself.
Well, one of the things that it was really an important lesson about representation matters.
Mhm.
It absolutely does, because I had so many people who came up to me and they were just like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you guys are doing it. Thank you for representing us. That is my experience. That is my lived experience. I lived through that. I know
Mhm.
exactly what you said. It's like I've been in church my entire life, and it's exactly like that. These things happen. The politics that go on. The people who um, try to get close to the pastor and the first lady because that makes them feel important.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
the power dynamics that go on. Where folks won't donate their money or give their tithes because they're protesting whatever. Um,
Mhm.
and realizing that, I mean, because I know there was the whole was it the BuzzFeed article about Carlton being fired and all this, and people like, oh, oh, something's wrong with us because we think something's wrong with him. They're like, yeah, no. That whole controversy, and I think it was just really, and I really wish they would have really delved into that conversation in the third season
Yeah.
about gay people in the church.
Mhm.
and I don't know what happened, but for some reason there was kind of just this shoot, they veered off to the left and
Right, right.
somewhere else. It's like, okay, you gear up like you're gonna talk about it, and they don't have time.
Yeah, because they had that whole thing with Triumph basically coming out saying they were, for that and open and uh gays and anybody else, were welcome.
Yeah,
And then it was like it jumped to some new drum after that.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
we saw Grace pretty much try to get her family on the same page, and everybody was like, no, 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 no. And then she was
right,
like, well, this is true, it's important. She even advocated for Carlton, and then
yeah.
Lady May fired him, which was crazy. But
Right.
how was that scene for you with Lynn Whitfield? And because you kind of like gave her a piece of your mind and then left.
It was absolutely amazing. I mean, I've admired Lynn for many years of watching her, from I remember for Color Girls Who Have Considered Suicide,
That's right.
when I saw her in that, of course, and then all the movies and TV shows that she's done over the years. And it was interesting because that, not necessarily that particular scene,
Uh-huh.
um, us having a scene together was Lynn's idea. 'Cause
mm,
when we were shooting the first episode of the second season, and that's when we were at the house, and Carlton and Reggie were having breakfast with Charity.
right.
And during the break, Lynn and them was talking. She says, "You know what? I just realized that Lady May and Carlton have not had a scene together. It's like, and you're in a leadership position in the church, and it's like at some point they should have a conversation. Like,
hmm
I'm gonna have to mention that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, great." And then I came in to shoot another scene, and then all of a sudden there was an added day on production. I was like, "Wait, I thought I was supposed to go home." It's like, then I read the script, and I was like, "Oh, I have a scene with Lynn. Oh my god, oh, this is awesome." And so we did the scene, and then I was like, "Wait a minute, I didn't know it was going to be a scene where I got fired. Hold on,
Somebody
um,
set you up.
right? Set me up. Just won't let me be great."
That's right.
Um, but it was great because we're the only two in that scene, so that
Right.
gave us a lot of time between shots to just talk about the business and about our characters,
Yes.
and really understanding who Lady May is and what she's
Mhm.
all about. Because the one thing about it is, it's like this is what it was very important to take away from it, that it really wasn't about homophobia,
Mhm.
but it really was about the money.
That's
You
right.
know, because when she said, "Well, this is strictly a financial decision." She
Decision,
wasn't
yeah.
lying. She wasn't lying. It really was just about the money. It's like, listen, I like you. I love what you're doing here, but they ain't gonna give us this money as long as you're here. So you gotta go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's messed up and it sucks, but it's just like, okay, all right. And I think it was great for Carlton as well to kind of just go like, you know what? Sometimes you have to go like, okay, I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired. I thought this was going to be my forever home here at this
Mhm.
church, but here I'm running across the same BS that I dealt with. I thought becoming in and being honest, I wouldn't have to deal with it, but there's still
Right.
these people's attitudes. And so going from that scene and then having another scene with Meryl Dandridge, and then
Mhm.
having a scene with Keith David,
Oh,
I was
yes.
like, oh my God, this is like, what? And so doing that scene with Keith David when he comes to the house and it's just me and Keith
Yes.
and Keith D. Carson. And I'm like, wow, these are people that I watched on my television screen, and now I'm on a television show with them. I'm like, I'm going one on one with Keith David, just sitting there talking to him and blah blah blah. And
Mhm.
both of them, both Keith and Lynn, are so generous as actors, and people that they were just like, all right, let's come and do it. There was none of this whole thing of like, I've been doing this for so. It's very much like, all right, let's come on in here, let's have our fun, let's do our thing. And I had to make myself, I said, now don't be intimidated or starstruck or whatever. I said, you're here to do your job. And you're here, and you've been working all these years to get to this moment. Now
Right.
deliver.
Right.
Just come on. So I just when it's like, all right, here we go. We do our thing and we just act and just keep it very natural and just flow and just let Carlton talk to the bishop.
Mhm.
And, and that was so great for me to just be in that place to really kind of get like, okay, you got this. You know what you're doing. You belong here. You deserve this moment to be here. Um, so that was a learning thing for me personally at
Yes.
Parnell, just to as
Yes.
a performer going like, you got it. You know what you're doing here. And you wouldn't be in this spot if you didn't have the goods to be here.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And
That
this show
really
really had like the best of the best as far as a cast was concerned because when I first heard about the show and I heard that Keith David was on it and Lynn Whitfield, I was done.
oh,
That was it.
you
That
were
was it for
done.
me. That
Listen,
was it for me.
I tell this story all the time. I didn't when I booked the show, I didn't know who was in it
Mhm.
at the time. It was like, oh, okay, this is the show on OWN. I was just excited to be on the show connected to Oprah. And I was like,
Right.
oh my God, you're doing the show with OWN, that's awesome. And I called my friend Anthony and I was telling him, I said, yeah, I'm on this show, Greenleaf. And he's all like, oh, that's that new show with Lynn Whitfield and Keith David. And I'm like, wait, what? What? Oh my God. Oh my God. And I just thought I was about to have a heart attack in my first class seat on the airplane.
That's right. That's right.
Because this is like the first time anything like that had happened. And I was
Yes.
like, oh my God, they're gonna think I'm a fraud. They're gonna be like, where did they get this green guy from? He didn't know what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. And and of course, that was all going through me internally when I got on the set, because I'm really more of a theater actor.
Mhm.
But making the transition to film and television is a different animal. I've had some experience with it, but this is like the first time on this magnitude.
Right.
And so all that's going on inside. Outside was very calm. We're like, oh yes, hi, how are you? Good morning. Yes, hi, hi, hi. Okay, okay, here we go. We gotta do it. And then we get on there, camera rolls, and it's like, all right, do it, and just deliver.
Mhm.
Then people are like, oh my God, that was awesome. You're great. And Meryl came up to me and she was like, you are killing it out there. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. Okay, I'm doing good. I can do this. And from that point on, I was really just kind of like, okay, you are legitimately here. You're good. You know how to do this. You can make this transition, and you're going to be fine. And
Yes.
it was initially just a 3 episode arc that I was
Mm.
offered, and then three turned into five, turned into six, turned into eight, turned into second season.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
one of the drivers was like, "Oh, you're back again?" It's like, well, you know what that means, and they keep asking you back. I was like, they like me? It's like, they like you. So that was like, yes, they like me. Very
Listen,
Sally Field moment.
you did an awesome job, and this show overall really brought out a lot of stuff. It covered a lot of stuff from substance abuse to suicide to
Yes,
rape to
yes,
issues in the church with homosexuality and
yes,
people in the LGBTQ community. Um, all of those issues, infidelity, anything you could possibly think of, it dealt with, and that's what I love that it covered all the bases. It didn't just touch on one thing. Everybody had their own skeletons that we eventually found later.
yeah,
That's what I loved about this show because though it was about a family in church, it was really about more about forgiveness and how you move past stuff.
mhm.
And really, to boil it all down, more than that, it really showed they were human beyond them
Exactly,
having this mega church and being such a great bishop and a great first lady and family and all of this. It just showed that we're all human. We really all deal with the same stuff, just in different
exactly.
ways. And
Yeah,
and that's what this showed for me, at least. Because some of this stuff I watched, I was just like, "Whoo, it's crazy."
right.
I have
And
laughed, cried,
yeah, yeah,
everything.
exactly. And I think that's an important distinction because I know when the show first came out, people were like, oh, here comes Oprah attacking the church again.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm like, watch the show. I said the
Yeah.
show is not about attacking the church at all.
No.
It because one of the things about it was really important for the Greenleaf family and a lot of his parishioners how they got through was their connection with God and their
That's right.
spirituality. And like you were saying, it was really just exposing these are human beings who are not infallible. They're flawed. There's some stuff that they
Mhm.
did that was messed up, and people got hurt. And it's the importance of really looking at our are our children safe around people just because they're in the church? We're looking
Mhm.
at people who abuse their position and their authority, and that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, it
That
does.
needs it's not necessarily attacking the church as opposed to going like, listen, this stuff is happening and we need to address it
That's
and
right.
we need to look at it and I don't know if we'll ever be able to completely eradicate it because it's not anything that just started happening in 2016.
Right.
This is something that that has been going on and has been
Mhm.
pushed to the background and shushed and said, well, we don't want to make so and so look bad. This is why not? They're doing bad things. Expose them. They need to be put up out the church and in prison.
There
That's
you
where they
go.
need. Um, so that I think that was an important thing, and I think a lot of folks really is like, I'm so glad that we're finally talking about this. I'm so glad that we're talking about because let's not act like nobody knows that the choir director in most churches is a gay man.
Right.
You know, that's
Right.
predominantly most of the thing. I mean, there's some lesbians in there too, but predominantly that's what it is. That's why
Exactly.
comedians joke about it all the time because it's so commonplace.
Mhm.
And I think that was just a great marker for Greenleaf to hold to look at that. And I'm so glad that it is available on Netflix for people to watch.
Yes.
I still have
Yes.
folks that going, "Oh my God, I heard about the show, but I'm finally getting a chance to watch it." Or if I do another project and somebody mentions, "Oh yeah, he's on that show Greenleaf," I, "Oh, I never heard about your show, but now that I've heard about it, I started watching it, and you came on the screen. I was like, oh my God, there's Parnell." And and so it's like it's great that the show still has a life after its run, and I'm still hopeful that whatever happens with the spinoff, that Carlton will be able to appear.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything else about it other than supposedly that there's going to be a spinoff, and who knows if it's still going to happen. I hope it does because I would love to explore Carlton's career and life again.
Right. Right.
But if not, I'm like this. There are other shows, and I'll play another character and bring that one
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Hopefully,
I
people
mean,
stay
it
with me.
seemed as if they wanted to go that direction at one point too. And then everything switched. I don't know why, of course, but it seemed like that was about to happen at some point. So I was a little hopeful, like, okay, because we watched you get fired from a church after being, after you basically came after the character came and said, "Hey, I've been through all of this, but I'm not looking for any of that. I just want to be here. I just want to do this." And
Exactly.
then you still ended up getting fired,
Yeah.
from there. Now,
Yeah.
yeah, they come back, but it's like after everything I told you, you did this anyway. So
Mhm.
I
And that's
thought it was going to go there.
spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen the entire show. Okay, turn off now. Turn it
Right,
off.
right.
Okay. And I love it that in the end he leaves on his own.
Yes, yes.
That was a good thing about it, like I can't do this. The
Yeah,
way this is going on, so I gotta go.
yeah.
And I think that was a great growth point for Carlton as well to
Hmm.
get the point like I'm not in a position where somebody's getting rid of me now. I'm taking the power for like I gotta go.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's so important for everybody having. And I know we're talking way past the time that I'm a hush up and let you do your thing.
No, no, that's okay. That's okay. I gotta be out of here by 3. So we can go another couple of minutes if it's okay, but if not, I'm okay. But no, that's really the great thing about this is that sometimes you have to learn that self-respect for yourself, you know what I'm saying? And you
Agreed.
have to really be able to stand in it and then tell people like, hey, I can't accept what you're doing anymore. I
Exactly.
can't allow you to give me this anymore because it's not what I deserve. It's you're dishonoring me. Like I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So I love that for that character. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the characters in the show evolved
Yeah.
obviously over the 5 seasons and really stood in their own. Lady May a lot of times even came to her own, and in her own mind to her own conclusions that, hey,
Mhm,
I gotta really change. I gotta
mhm.
own up to what I've done, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
So but I loved Oprah scenes, all of them,
Oh,
because you knew that when Oprah came, she was coming to kick up some dust. So
right,
it
exactly.
was the good parts. But this cast, I tell you no lie, I never watched the show that I was just like, wow. I don't even see the cast as the cast anymore. All the stuff that all of these people have done. Merle, I had no idea who she was before this.
Mhm, mhm.
And of course, Deborah is somebody that I knew because of the Winans family, but I had never seen her do this kind of thing. And you, of course, I had known because of Mary and watching that kind of stuff, but I never seen you in this role. But seeing all these people together doing this, it just made sense, and you can really tell that it was meant for what it was. And that's what I like. Keith David and Lynn Whitfield, I would have never thought of like being as a couple in a show, but I was like, I really believe them now. Like
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I can't see them without each other now. But that goes to show the real, how much these people care about their craft, including yourself. You know what I'm saying? When you really care about what you do, it shows in your work because I could not even tell if somebody was faking or not because it wasn't there.
Mm,
Everybody really gave, it seems, 100% of themselves, like to be these characters, and I'm just like, wow,
mhm.
it's amazing. And the writing on this was out of this world because how you can come up with all these scenarios.
There are some really good writers, and
Oh man,
and I thank you so much for lumping me in with such talented actors. I was like,
yeah, of
yeah,
course.
no, because it's one of the things that I realized. I know I talked about singing, but as an actor,
Hmm.
the homework that goes into creating your character. And I know a lot of actors, they do all this. They really, really get in depth with well, this and blah blah blah. And my character does this. And for me, a lot of the stuff that I do with the characters that I play just kind of seems to come organically to me.
Yeah.
Um, but there are certain things, this is what I loved about working with TC Carson was
Hmm.
TC made me do my homework.
Right.
As an actor, like when we first meet Reggie, and that's like, okay, let's do some homework. So how long have Carlton and Reggie been together?
Uh
all this.
huh.
How did we meet? What did you think when we first met? And I was like, oh, okay, I like this. We're doing that. And, and it also made me like, even when Bishop came to ask Carlton to come back,
Hmm.
and we were just like going, well, how do we feel about this? Does Carlton want to go back?
Uh huh.
And I was sitting there like, yeah, yeah, he does. I want. That's he loves being there. Loves the relationship with Charity. Loves the music that's been making. So yeah, I want to go back. He's like, okay, then that's what we'll
Uh
play.
huh. Uh huh.
And I'm just like, yeah. And so that's again the stuff that goes on behind the scenes that people don't think about. And that
Yes.
was the thing that was tied into the conversation that Lynn and I had about Lady May. And I say, yes, it's easy to write her off like, oh my gosh, she's such a bitch. Oh my goodness.
Uh
But
huh.
really looking at what she is really trying to do is protect her family and
Right.
what they've built. That's
Yeah.
what everything that she does is motivated behind that.
That's
And
right.
when you see that, you're like going, okay, yeah, hmm. But it's not like she's not a bad person. She's just trying to protect her family. And
Yeah. Yeah.
she's like, yes, exactly. I'm like, yeah, okay, I understand what's going on here. And that was what I felt about Carlton again, was not a thing about I'm not trying to cause trouble or be disruptive. I'm just trying to
Hmm.
live my life honestly and openly, and that's and just do what I do. So I'm just here to direct the choir and love my husband and and just live my life honestly. And I'm sorry if that bothers people, but
That's
I'm
right.
not coming in here just trying to be an upstart. And people ask, well, what's the difference between you and Carlton? I'm like, Carlton's a lot nicer.
I would hope so.
Because there are some things that he had to deal with, and I'm just like, oh no, absolutely, so so that's
Right.
different,
Right.
you know. because I'm not that person. But I was very much like, I'll tend to like lean back a lot of times. I'm like, no, Carlton always sits very. This is how he sits
Uh-huh.
very. And those are the things that I just kind of made happen. I was like, those are decisions that I made as an actor. This is what he does. He walks like
That's
this. He
right.
stands like this. He's always very, and Janetta Boone, who was our costume, I forget the word I'm looking for. Her costume did all the wardrobe. It's
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, you're an openly gay man in the church. You got to be the best dressed.
That's
That's
right.
so Carlton was always, like this suit and that suit and this shirt, and and stuff was just a little like, okay, I don't know that I would wear this, but I can see Carlton wearing it.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
um, there were a couple of outfits that Carlton had on that I wanted so bad. I was like, ooh, please, can I'm gonna have that. Somebody told me I have to have that written in my contract. I get to keep my closet. I'm like,
That's
what?
right. That's right.
I'm
We
like,
we
pick my
need we
clothes.
need
I don't have to keep all
it.
of it, but can I have a couple of outfits? My choice of what I want.
I'm telling you, seriously.
Anyway,
But
you got to get out of here. I'm looking
yeah,
at this.
I'm gonna go in a minute, but um, as long as I'm gone before 3, I'll be all right. But I'm gonna say this really quickly, though, to touch on what you said earlier. But sometimes we don't realize as people, and that's what I loved about this show too. Sometimes we don't realize as people that in trying to help, we hurt.
Yeah.
And it's not always intentional. You know what I'm saying? And you end up in a place where you really didn't think you should be or wanted to be, but it happens. And that's what I love that this show showed the real end of both sides of how things go. So that's what I really liked. And then something else I was going to say. Oh, that's what I was going to say. When you talked about TC making you do your homework, people don't understand, what you really have to do as an actor to make these characters come alive. And I know
Mhm.
that from experience. When I wanted to be an actor years and years ago, when I was in my teens, that wasn't that long ago. But
Years and years ago. Okay.
yeah, yeah, that wasn't that long ago. But I ended up going to like an improv class. It was supposed to be an audition, but it ended up being an improv class because the guy ran a school
Mhm.
and he made us do that kind of stuff. Literally, all random people. I never met these people a day in my life.
Yep.
Hadn't even said hi to them.
Yep.
And here we were, like, he was like, okay, you two, let's go.
Yep.
Go. And then when we were finished, he was like, how did you know where you were? How did you know this? How did you know that? And I'm like, so you really have to bring that character to life by asking those kind of questions that TC asked you. And I'm glad you mentioned that though, because a lot of people don't know, sometimes what you have to put into bringing a character to life. It's not just reading, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, off of paper and saying, oh, this is it. Like,
Mhm.
no, you got to make this a real human being. Who
Yeah.
are they as a person to bring that to the screen so that it shows that way?
Yeah.
So thank you for that, for doing your homework and for being, in that area to be able to learn, you know,
Yeah.
and give yourself to make the character come to life because you have to. But I'm not gonna hold you all day. So just let everybody know where they can find you, on social media, any websites, anything like that you might have.
Yeah, absolutely. Find me at PD Marcano, PDMarcano on Instagram, and of course Parnell Damone Marcano on Facebook, and at that Parnell guy on Twitter.
All right, all right. Listen, we gotta do this again soon because we
Yeah,
gotta talk some more about just life and singing and acting and all this kind of stuff. Because I don't know how we got so caught up, but it's easy
no,
to do.
exactly.
It's easy to do, but it just means you. I like genuine people. I like having real conversation. I don't like to put on. So thank you again, and I hope to see you soon in something else big.
Cool.
Before then, if not, please stay safe until I see you again, and we'll stay in contact. Okay?
I appreciate it, Tony. Thank you so much. Take care of
No
yourself.
problem at all. You do the same.
All right.